So these nuggets are made from chicken, but they're made to emulate the taste of like non-chicken nuggets. So these nuggets are made from chicken, but they're made to emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Dope. Let's boost that sound quality. Emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Dope. Non-chicken nuggets. Non-chicken nuggets. But they're made to emulate the taste of vegan nuggets. Sounds tasty.
Hello. Hi, Harmony.
Hey, Christiana. How's it going?
Going great. Welcome to you and everyone to How to Make Video Podcasts with Descript.
Hey.
I'm so excited for our event today. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. Full transparency, my power went out 2 minutes before we were supposed to go live. But here we are, and we're still gonna have a great time. If I disappear suddenly, Harmony, just you take it away.
I'll be here. I was thinking like, oh, Pacific Northwest, because you're in Portland. I'm like, I used to live there. Our power used to go out all the time. So I totally get it.
You know the vibe. Exactly. Well, thank you for your understanding. So everybody, today we're going to learn how to make video podcasts with Descript, which is a hot button topic right now. Harmony's going to show us the ropes. But before we do that, I'm going to share some slides so you know what to expect. And then we can jump in if that sounds good. And maybe as I share these, tell us a little bit about your podcast or whatever you make with Descript. We want to know. Okay, cool. So this is what we're covering today. Welcome, done. Off to a good start. We'll cover importing, transcribing, and recording. How to correct your transcript. We'll show you editing using the transcript, the timeline, and the canvas, and we'll define all of those for you. We'll talk about scenes, which is really the core of video editing with Descript. We'll cover adding captions to your videos, adding intros, outros, and music. We'll touch on video effects and transitions, and then, of course, publishing and exporting, how to get your stuff out of Descript and shared with the world. Our wonderful support hero, Marcelo, is in the Q&A section on Crowdcast today and watching the YouTube chat. So throw your questions in the Q&A section or the YouTube chat, and he will get those answered for you. And then use the chat for your reactions, your commentary, what your podcast is about, etc. If we freeze, refresh your browser, that normally will do the trick, but we're also streaming to YouTube. So if it's feeling a little too rough, you can jump over and watch there instead. This session is recorded, as are all of our events. You can catch all of our replays on YouTube. We have a live events playlist. Go check them out. And if you want or need more help, help.descript.com is your best friend. I'm there every day. I don't know about you, Harmony, but I'm learning in there.
I'm always double checking my work, and especially given how frequently the app updates. Yes. It's my new best friend.
Yes, it's your source of truth. So go check that out. And of course, join our Discord community. I'll pull up a link for you to grab so it's easy for you there. But we do office hours there every Wednesday with Marcelo. You could join tomorrow's. And there's 15,000 folks in there that are helping each other out. So that is a great resource for you. And last but not least, if you are new here, try Descript Pro for free for a month, podcast 30 at checkout. We'll get you a free month, and I'll pull up a QR code for that so you don't have to scramble to write that down. Let's see here. Month of free Descript Pro. You can scan that and make your Descript dreams come true. Awesome. Okay, cool. Oh, and I promised the Discord link. That is in the other corner. It might be there. Who knows? Yes, somewhere around there. So scan those codes and yeah, join us. And that will be in the follow-up email as well. So no need to scramble. Harmony, I'm gonna send it over to you in just a second here. But before I do that, I thought it would be helpful to frame our conversation up with some stats about video podcasting. How does that sound?
Let's go. Yeah, I think for folks that are just starting to dip their toes into video podcasting, there's definitely some tips and tricks to take in, but also question like why might I be transitioning from an audio only podcast over to video podcast?
Exactly. Yeah, and I think it's, like, very understandably an area where people are even anxious sometimes, like, "I just
Mm.
cracked this audio thing. Now I have to do video, like, why?" So here are some stats just so you guys can get a better picture of, like, why we're kind of doing this event. So first one, the majority of podcast listeners now prefer consuming podcasts with video, which is interesting. Um, New listeners are even more interested in video podcasts than veteran listeners. So
Hmm.
a lot of newer folks are jumping in and listening to podcasts for the first time. And those folks tend to be more interested in video podcasts, which is interesting. This one, YouTube is the most preferred platform for podcast consumption. We know that that's a video first platform, so that's pretty impressive. And then TikTok and Instagram were the most downloaded social
Oh, you know what?
media apps.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. Sorry,
Christiana,
you cut out
your
for a second.
audio dropped out there for a second, but you're back.
Oh, thank God. Don't wanna miss any stats. But yeah, how did these strike you, Harmony?
It's super interesting. I think that first one really jumps out at me. Like, for me personally, I listen to almost everything. All of the podcasts I listen to right now are audio only.
Mhm.
There are a few that I do wish had video elements, because
Yeah,
I think, especially like depending on the content or who's talking, it's always so lovely to see like how someone might be reacting to, like it's sort of this like back and forth that you're happening. If it's a conversation or more long form, it's always nice to see how people are emoting visually. Um,
totally.
but yeah, I mean, that's f- that's super interesting. How about you?
Yeah, yeah, it paints a good picture of, like, why this is such a big and, my number one
Yeah.
thing is just, like, finding people where they're at, and they do seem to be on these video first platforms, and it's a great way to connect with your audience, so that's what comes to mind for me. Um,
Mm.
so yeah. But I wanna know
Okay.
what everybody thinks in the comments. Let us know what you think about this in the chat section. Um, and yeah, I think at the end of the next 45 minutes, we'll show you how to approach some of this stuff in a lot less intimidating way. So hopefully by the end of this, you're ready to take a crack at that. Um, cool. Okay, well let's jump in.
Awesome. I'm gonna, if it's cool, Christiana, I'll go ahead and share my screen. And all right, how's this looking?
Looks great.
Cool. Awesome. So what we're looking at here is the Descript interface, and for folks that are brand new, and you're like, "Hey, I showed up to this video podcasting thing today, and but what is the application we're actually spending time in?" So Descript, it's an all-in-one collaborative audio and video editor that works a lot like a Word doc. So this transcript that you get back when you bring in content or record, Descript automatically transcribes everything for you, and text-based editing has never been easier. Uh, so one thing I like to talk about is just kind of the general hierarchy of Descript. So when you download it, let's say you redeem that code today, you'll basically have kind of like a Google Drive view. I'll back out one view here just so you can kind of see what will happen when you first log in. So this you can create folders in this Drive workspace, keep everything neat and tidy, especially if you're working on long form content, or if you have a ton of archival material. You'll want to set up a folder structure that is most conducive to your workflow. And then over here on the left, you've got some quick filters. So you can access projects that you recently had open, quick recordings. So Descript allows you to record directly into the platform, which we'll get into in a little bit. But over here on the left, I've got what we call the workspaces. And the Drive workspace is where I can collaborate with team members. So if, let's say, Christiana and I needed to jam on this creating video podcast project together, we could both pop into it, edit it, comment. But then if I have something that I'm not quite ready to share with Christiana, I might keep that in my private workspace until I'm ready to share it with her. So it's nice that you have different workspaces that you can essentially kind of work and curate your work in. But for the purpose of today, what you'd want to do to get started is you'll see this blue button here, new, and you're going to have some different prompts. So for the purpose of today, we created a new video project. You can also create audio projects, use that quick recorder, which is the built-in recording function. And then it's worth mentioning here, we did a session a couple weeks back on remote recording, but Descript and Squadcast have now combined forces. So you have remote recording for free with your Descript subscription. And Squadcast is a state-of-the-art remote recorder, studio quality, and it's really purpose-built for audio and video podcasts. Christiana, what am I missing with Squadcast? Anything else we should mention there?
No, you hit it on the head. Yeah, just emphasizing that that's free now with Descript remote recording, and supports video and audio. And also we just launched 4K video. So if you want some crystal clear looking video, we do that too. But we have a Squadcast 101 event coming up in a few weeks where you can learn everything about that. And I'll share that in the chat.
Amazing. So yeah, if you want to, even if like after today you want to dive in and start trying, just go up to your initials or your avatar up here, go to the subscription tab, and you'll see this option to connect to Squadcast. Follow those prompts, and then you'll be able to start recording. Awesome. But I've got a couple files that I've already downloaded from a Squadcast session. So I'm going to show you what it looks like to ingest material into Descript. So let's say I've just recorded my first video podcast and I'm ready to go. I've created that project. So I'm going to open that back up. And in this case, I'm going to create what we call a new composition. I like to think of projects as books and then compositions as like your pages, basically. That's the hierarchy I like to use. So that Drive view, think of it as a library, projects as your books, and then compositions like your pages, basically. So as you'll see, once let's see here. Once you've got a project ready to go, you'll be able to see that option to add a file, start recording, start writing, or start from a template. And so in this case, I'm going to title this Marilyn and Petra. And you're going to see a couple other surfaces, which I'll get into, but this is what we call our canvas. And once we bring some material in, we also have this scene rail over here, which we'll get into in a second. So I've got two files selected, and I'm just going to drag them right on in. I'm going to drop them in. It's important to bring them in at the same time. Otherwise, it'll transcribe each file separately and it'll stack them on top of one another. So I want to select both of them at the same time. So here, your first prompt, we're going to want to transcribe this. The very super cool thing is that you can transcribe in over 20 languages now. So in this case, the conversation is in English, so I'll leave it there. But you can select different languages depending on the conversation. So I'll hit transcribe. And then the second prompt that you get is to do what we call identifying speakers. So once we get a transcript back, we'll be able to delineate in the transcript who's speaking when. And this comes into play especially later on when we go in and start adding scenes and other elements. So in this case, I know this is Marilyn here. And we've got Petra as well. And then what we're going to do is we want to ensure we're going to combine this into a multi-track sequence so that when and if there's crosstalk, background noise, we can go in and do some more fine-tuned editing in the sequence editor. So I'm going to say done. The nice thing is that I already uploaded this but before today, so we're not going to stick around and wait for this to transcribe. We're just going to go straight to the full transcription here.
Great time-saving hack, Harmony. I love it.
So, and so here's the thing. we use AI transcription. It's pretty darn good. Like the better your audio quality, the better your transcription is going to be. But there are some things that you can do to get it as close to 100% as possible. So before you even start bringing content into Descript, we have a feature called the transcription glossary. So if you go up to the Descript logo here and then go to Tools, Transcription Glossary, you can add in common terms, names that are related to your show, add those in, and then it will improve the overall accuracy going forward. So added in Christiana's last name and my last name, Marcelo, even Descript. Sometimes it gets it wrong. So we'll say done. And so now that we've ingested some material, there's a couple different panels that we want to kind of focus in on. The first panel is this transcript. And then over here on the right, we've got our canvas, which is where you're going to see your video playback. And this is where we're going to start messing around with some different layers. The third panel I like to refer to as the timeline. So down here, it's a great way to do more fine-tuned editing. I'm going to do almost, I would say like 95% of my edits in the transcript. Fourth panel is this scene rail. And we're going to get into these in a second, but I like to think of these as discrete segments in a video podcast, and then be able to layer in different visual elements like captions or B-roll or slides, depending on the nature of the content you're discussing. So let's actually start editing some stuff down. So in this case, I'm just going to play this real quick.
We are officially recording now. So we are recording. My name is Marilyn Moser. I am the Influencer Marketing Manager here at Descript.
Okay, so they got off to a good start. We actually don't need that first sentence here, so we might just want to have it start right at where Marilyn says, "My name is Marilyn Moser." So I'm going to highlight that text. You'll notice when I highlight a range of text, I get this script toolbar or this insert toolbar that pops up here. A lot of different things we can do, but I'm just going to simply hit delete. And that has now removed my underlying audio and video. So now if I play from the beginning.
My name is Marilyn Moser. I am the Influencer Marketing Manager here at...
It's magic. I'm going to go ahead and undo that, because actually one of my best practices is when creating a rough edit, instead of fully deleting stuff, I like to instead ignore it. So if I highlight it, and you'll see these formatting options here, so I can bold, italicize, and ignore it. And then that way, as I go through and start removing sections, I'll be able to track my decisions as I go along. And if Christiana pops in, she'll be able to see like, oh, why did Harmony make that change? And in that case, she might even go in and mention me here using the commenting feature, like, should we cut? And then I'll be able to pop in, respond, and we can have that back and forth just like you would in a Google Doc. Cool. Christiana, how are we doing? Any questions coming up so far?
So far, no, I think we're chugging along here. Good to go.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So while we're here, one other thing to just mention is we did see that option to record instead of importing. So the nice thing is that you could, let's say if I needed to do a quick intro or outro for this, I could, maybe I could go to like the very end where they say bye. And then if I want to start recording, I'm going to see this option here to record or add a file again. So if I hit record, you'll see that option to record audio only. You can do a camera recording. So you'll get a little camera modal which pop up at the very bottom, or I can also do a screen recording. And so the nice thing is that by recording directly into Descript, it'll automatically transcribe everything. And then it'll just essentially like have that outro start right after the interview ends. I'm not going to record anything today. I don't want to bore you guys, but just wanted to show that as an option. You can record up to 4K as well. So if you go into your gear settings, just make sure those are configured the way that you want. And yeah, super simple to record directly in. The other really nice thing about recording in Squadcast is that we have an edit in Descript function. So as soon as you finish recording in Squadcast, you'll see an edit in Descript button, and that will automatically bring your files over for you. So at the very top of the call where I dragged those files in, transcribed, by clicking that edit and Descript button, that's going to do all of that work for you automatically. So it can save a lot of time, especially if you are recording audio and video. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to make a couple other edits here. I noticed that where we see Petra's last name, I'm going to listen to this real quick.
Miss Petra Gerard. She's coming.
Okay. I almost got it. But her last name is spelled with a J. So I'm gonna fix that. So I'm gonna highlight it and I see this option to correct. I can use the keyboard shortcut, which is C. And I'm gonna fix that right here. Correct. So by using the correct mode, that allows me to fix the transcript without affecting the audio or video, which is super important, especially later on if you add your captions in. Okay, let's see if there's a couple other things I might want to change. I see that it's also underlying the filler words for me, the ums, the ers. So what you can do is you can either right click and start removing filler words, or my favorite way of doing this is going to the star menu here and seeing that option to remove filler words. And so over here on the right, you'll see all of the instances where those filler words pop up. I don't like to remove every single filler word. I feel like it kind of messes with the flow. What do you think, Christiana?
Same. Yeah, I always start off ignoring them all, and then once I do my listen through, I probably bring back like 20%. What about you?
Yeah, same. I'll start with, like, in this case, like, okay, fine. I'll get rid of the repeateds, the likes. I'll get rid of everything. And instead of deleting, I'm with you. I like to use the ignore function. And then, yeah, I'll probably bring back same, like 25, 30%. And it kind of depends on your guest too, because you'll see very quickly, if your guest uses I mean, a ton, that way you can kind of pick and choose which iterations of I mean you want to keep and which ones you want to toss. And then in this case, you'll want to select remove all. Otherwise, remove is just going to remove a single instance of that filler word. So I'll remove all. Now notice with video, it's going to make a little jump cut. So let's kind of take a listen here, a listen and a look. So how about from here?
About how she's bringing her music and her artistry into the space of TikTok. For those unfamiliar, TikTok is an enormous video sharing platform, typically short form videos anywhere from 20 seconds.
Okay, so I think it did pretty good. That's good enough for rock and roll for me. But if I, let's say wanted to smooth that out a little bit, that's where I might go down into the timeline. And the nice thing is that it's all non-destructive editing. So I can peel this back right here if I click on the track. And so I don't want to bring the back, but I might just want to add a little bit of extra time here. Cool. That'll be a little bit better. Or I can just simply, if I want to bring that back, I can highlight it and then unstrike it. So I've got some options there.
Perfect. That was a question from the audience, was how do you add it back if you ignore it? So you just highlight it and hit unignore. Is that right?
Exactly. Highlight it, and then you'll see that option to, oopsie. There we go. Unignore. You got it back.
Cool. Awesome.
Great question. And again, if you hadn't used the ignore feature, it would have taken a little bit more time to kind of go through the transcript and find that exact spot. So good idea to use that on the first pass.
Totally.
Awesome. Cool.
Can I hit you with another question really quick?
Please, yeah.
Awesome. So obviously this is a video project, but someone asked, can you transcribe an audio only file?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So it works the same way. And so I'll just, while we're here, I'll create a new composition, and I might title this audio only. I'm going to drag a file in. I won't go through the steps, but notice that I still have the canvas displaying over here. I don't need to see the canvas because I just want to bring in some audio. So in that case, what I would do is I'm going to select audio only. I'm going to go to that composition and I'm going to set this to audio only. That way I'll just have my script once I bring it in. So that way you can work in different compositions, different interviews if needed, in different formats as well.
Awesome.
Great question.
Cool.
And while we're here, since I've got my list of compositions, you can now you can drag this around, and you can even dock it over to the left, and it's going to remember the sort of last layout that you had. So if you have composition list docked here, the next time you pop into Descript, it'll remember your settings, which is really nice. All right. Christiana, any other questions popping up?
Let's see here. Can a Zoom recording be uploaded and transcribed?
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so if you don't have, so in this case, I dragged in 2 files at once. So if you just have a single MP4 with, let's say, a couple speakers on it, drag it in. You can go through and identify your speakers. I think there's also, if we go up into, this is our media library here. If I select, I'm going to add a new file, you can do a file from a link, and you can paste in a Zoom link as opposed to dragging the files in. So that's an alternative way of getting a Zoom call in here and transcribing.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Super cool. But also, I would be remiss to not mention that if you're recording a video podcast, we definitely recommend using Squadcast by Descript over Zoom, just for quality purposes, and like being able to customize your studio and things like that. But if you are using Zoom, which is totally fine, yeah, the quick answer is absolutely you can. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I used to do it all the time, and now I use Squadcast.
Same. Yeah. And the quality, you'll just notice such a difference in quality. And then it's also, given that they'll record on each speaker on a separate track, that's going to give you much more added flexibility down the road as you get into editing your project.
Totally. One other question that I think is good for like compositions versus projects, if you don't mind me hitting you with that real quick, Harmony.
Yeah, great question. So my recommendation is to create a project per episode. And then I like to use compositions for, let's say if I know later on that I want to repurpose parts of this into maybe a shorter version or even create social clips. That's when I like to create a new composition. But the thing to watch out for is don't let your project get too bogged down with too many compositions. Then you might start encountering some performance issues. But what do you think, Christiana? How do you usually like to think about them?
Completely agree. Yes. Yeah. Like the different versions within I have like my main file or whatever, like my main project, but I want a composition for my audio only version, my TikTok version, my TikTok clip version, all that stuff. And it's really handy to have that nested under a project.
Exactly. So if I wanted to take like this, I know that this is my video edit, and then maybe this one here, I might want to set this one to like audio only. And then I know that like this one's going to be my audio only version. And then that way I can like quickly kind of bop between the two.
Totally.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Shall we, I think I want to add some scenes next. How does that sound?
Yeah, let's do scenes.
Awesome. So one thing I like to do, especially when there's multiple speakers, is in the magic menu here, I can add scenes by active speaker. So watch what this will do. So it's going to create a scene every time the speaker comes up. So in this case, I'm hearing Marilyn talk here.
Change and yeah, so we'll get right into it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And then we'll see Petra. And then when you hear Marilyn, it'll switch back. And the cool thing is that you can always override this. So let's say, right here where Marilyn's talking, this is scene 3. If I want, I can go over into my layers and I can, I clicked on, I want to reveal Petra's layer. I can always kind of go in here and override that. So if I want to have them both on screen, I can move them around in the canvas, kind of like get them where I want them. All right, make it a little bit, there we go. And cool, and I'm digging that. So if later on I want to take that format, I can right click on that scene. I'm going to copy that layout, and then maybe later on, let's say like right here, I want that same layout. I can right click and paste that layout, and then that way I'll get that side by side view again. So this is where scenes can be really powerful. In terms of kind of orchestrating the layout of your video. One other thing it's super useful for is like adding in other layers like B-roll and captions and titles and all of that. So let's actually find, there's a section at the very beginning where she's coming to us today from New York City. To create a scene, all you have to do is, I like hitting return just to kind of get a paragraph break and then adding that slash. You don't have to use the return. I just like using it for my own formatting purposes. And I'm going to add one more slash here because right here, whoops, meant to add it. Let's add it there. So just for this scene, I want to see like a nice landscape of New York City. So I'm going to go up into media drawer, and we referenced, this is where your original uploaded files are stored in the file section, but over on the right, we have a full built-in stock media library at your disposal. So this includes video, backgrounds, GIFs, images, audio, and sound effects. So I'm going to search for something of New York. And if you already have a video or image sourced on your desktop, you can also just drag it in. But I'm going to pull something in from the stock media library. So, wow, it's a lot of good shots. Okay, I'm going to pull in this one. So I'm just going to select it. And that's going to add it based on the scene that I have selected. So in this case, I've got scene 3 selected. It's loading in that media. All right, so now we'll see that new layer revealed down here in the timeline. So in scene 3, we're going to see that layered in the canvas, and then we'll also see it represented in the scene rail here. So let's take a listen.
Wonderful independent musician, Miss Petra Gerard. She's coming to us today from New York City, and where she actually.
So I actually want that in scene 2. So whoopsie. So all I have to do is I can click on that and then drop it over into scene 2. In this case, I don't need it lasting for more than scene 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, oops, scoot this over. Cool. And all right, I'm going to move that. I'm just going to move it around a little bit. It looks like Descript slowing down just a little bit for me. So I'm going to use the blade tool. And let's get rid of that. Okay.
Nice.
I'll just scoot that over. Cool. And I can shorten it up. I can make it last a little bit longer. So if I want it to extend over into this like scene, over the scene 3 boundary, I can do that. And
Petra Gerard, she's coming to us today from New York City, and where she actually performs. That's where she.
Okay, so it's looking a little bit better.
Cool.
And so just rinse and repeat. Add a slash and continue to layer in those elements.
Great question on this from the crowd, Harmony.
Yeah.
Are the pictures, sounds, etc. in the stock media library for commercial use?
Yeah, so a little bit about the stock media library. It's coming from Storyblocks, and aside from, I think the short answer is most of it, yes. The only one that I think is a little bit different are the Unsplash images. I think the use there is like slightly different, but other than that, everything can be used for commercial purposes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great to know.
Great question.
Cool.
What else? Any questions popping up in and around scenes or anything stock media related?
Yeah. Someone asked, well, actually, I saw this a couple times. Can you show again where to select scene by active speaker?
Absolutely. So that's going to be in the transcript panel. So you're going to go up to the top. You're going to find that little star icon, and then add scenes by active speaker. That's going to be at the very bottom.
Awesome. Cool. In that beautiful magic menu.
Yep.
Cool.
Very cool.
Great.
Awesome. So it's kind of coming together, right? We've added some scenes, we've made some edits. I think I definitely want to add some captions because I know I'll want them later on, especially for some of the social excerpts I'm going to be pulling. So
Totally.
one way I like of applying captions to the entire video is all you have to do is select all. And I'm doing that select all because I've created a bunch of scenes. If I didn't have any scenes, I wouldn't need to do this. So I'm going to go up to the text insert menu here, and I'm going to choose captions. And we'll notice now that we've got that caption layer here. And so I actually want, oh, it didn't do it through the whole thing. So I'm going to stretch it out so it lasts the entire duration. And this is nice. Like maybe you only want captions to go up to scene 6, but in this case, I want them to last the entire conversation. So zoom out a little bit. Okay. And we want them to carry through all the way to the end. Okay, awesome. And the nice thing is that once you bring in your captions here, you can go to town styling them. So I've got the caption layer selected. Maybe I want to change this to, well, I'll leave it on Roboto, but you can also upload custom fonts and search Google Fonts from here as well. So you'll see that option. You can also do some formatting, change the size. In this case, I might want to go into my settings here. There's a bunch of different styles: karaoke, clean, classic. I might want to add a background just for accessibility purposes here. That looks a little bit better. I can also, maybe I want to highlight an active word. So let's go in and let's do background. Okay, let's see how this is looking.
Geared in a matter of.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to go back up, and it just formatted for that one scene. So the nice thing is that I can go in and copy that layout, paste. There's a way to add this to all scenes as well. But let's say if you just want to style it, for a particular scene, and then once it cuts to Petra, I could change up, let's say, her highlight color to purple or something like that. So really easy to customize per scene. Cool. Are we seeing any questions in and around captions at all, Christiana?
Not on captions, I don't think. I think we got it. Maybe also great to note that on that where you get the captions is also where you can add titles and subtitles and things like that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you can go in and add those extra fields if you want. You can move them around, change the styling. Maybe you want to have like Petra and Marilyn's name up here in the top left-hand corner. So you can do that.
Totally.
Awesome. All right. I'll leave that out for now, but that's at your disposal. Okay.
Awesome.
I'm going to get rid of that, delete the layer. And working with layers, so I noticed in scene 2, we lost the captions because the B-roll is actually sitting on top of the captions. So what I can do is right click on that layer, and I actually just want to move that back, send backward. Cool. Now we're seeing the captions sit on top.
Love it. Stacking those papers.
Stacking those papers, exactly.
Cool.
Awesome. So I'm going to pull out, there's a section that I might want to repurpose later on. And the way to do that is a couple of ways. So I can go to this moment where Petra's talking about her time during the pandemic, and I'm just going to highlight these 2 paragraphs. And maybe I know I want to come back to these later on, so I can use the highlighting tool. Or instead of using that, I can also highlight that range of text and use this duplicate to function. So if you're creating multiple selects, I like using highlights. Or if you just need to do like a quick section that you want to repurpose, let's say like, maybe just this paragraph, highlight it, use duplicate to. I'm going to say new composition. And I like bringing up the composition menu. So now I see that clip that I just pulled, and it's just that paragraph. So I'm going to label this Petra select 1. I'm going to go back to my longer edit here, and I'm going to grab those highlights. So I'm going to go up to my magic menu here to select those highlights. So copy all highlights. And I'm going to create a new composition, and I'm going to label this Petra select 2. And I'm just going to right click and paste that in. And that's brought over that select. In this case, I know since Petra's talking most of the time, I'm going to collapse this so I get more of my canvas here. I'm going to just remove Marilyn because I know we're just hearing Petra talk here. And I know if later on I'm going to repurpose this for Instagram or TikTok, I can change the video settings here. So maybe I want to switch to a square, in which case I might want to kind of reformat this. Or if I want this for portrait. And the cool thing is that once I'm here, if I've built some templates, templates are a great way of taking, logos, branded assets, and just templatizing them. So in the template drawer here, you've got stuff that you've custom created that'll show up in your Drive and private tabs. And then the gallery is custom, sort of like pre-built templates that you can pull from. So you'll see titles, intros, audiograms. So play around in here. There's a ton of things at your disposal. But I've actually created one. Let's see here. Here we go. Influencer vertical. I'll select that. And so now the nice thing is that it's pulled in my stylized captions, a logo, a progress bar, and easy peasy, like one click, and it's brought in all of those assets. So we could do a whole session on templates, but it's really that simple. Once you build something, let's say I make a change here where I move stuff around, maybe I change the color, and then in that case, I want to save that. I can just right click on that scene card and save that as a template. So you can kind of build them as you go.
Awesome. That was perfectly timed because someone just asked about, is there a way to create custom video templates that I can save for future use? Harmony, you're psychic over
Such
there.
a good question. I thought that was really well timed. Yeah. And the nice thing about templates too is that, like in the case of well, this one I only have one version, but if I go to let's see. Oh, got one there. See, I've only got one. If I go, okay, in this case, I've got like a couple different styles. So once you've got a template, you can create different scenes with different assets. So you can kind of go into a template and pick and choose which scene template you want to apply. Great questions.
Cool.
Awesome. I know we're coming up in the last 10 minutes. We can add in some music, maybe some transitions, and then talk about exporting.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, maybe like hitting intros and outros real quick, and then we can wrap.
Let's do it. So
Cool.
if I wanted to add kind of like a little intro with a title card and maybe some music that comes in before Marilyn starts talking here, I'm just going to add an additional scene. So add a slash, and oh, that's all right. How about over here? Okay, cool. So I've added a blank scene that's going to be sort of 5 seconds of dead air where I can now add in some additional layers and maybe some music. So I'm going to go into my stock media library. I'm going to go find some music here. And oops. Let's find something chill. Okay. And I can go through and listen to those examples. This looks good, so I'm just going to drop that right into scene 1. All right, so I've added some music. I also want maybe some text here where I'm going to title Marilyn and Petra. That is way too big, so I'm going to make that a little bit smaller. Okay, stretch that out. Okay, that looks a little better. The center, how's it sounding?
My name is Marilyn.
Okay, so that was a little abrupt. So I might want to like help out that transition, right? So in this case, I'm going to have my music stretch over that scene boundary because I want it to last a little bit longer. And I might want to like have that fade out at a later point. So I'll click on that little circle, have that fade out. And then here, I want this to transition out. So if I go click on that scene, go to my transitions in the properties panel here, I'm going to say transition out. And maybe I want to do like a crossfade here. Let's see.
My name is Marilyn Moser. I am the influencer marketing.
That's better. So
Much better. Okay, music producer Harmony. Smooth.
I try. I'm not going to quit my day job. But yeah, transitions are a really nice way of kind of like going in, fixing that edit point where that cut felt a little abrupt. And again, you can go in like onto like that title here. Maybe I want to have that fade out like as it transitions over into the second scene. So a lot you can do down in the timeline. And then you could do something similar at the very end. So I could literally take this, I'm going to copy that scene, copy. And I'm going to add one more scene to add a slash. And then I'm going to right click, paste layout. Outstanding. So now just transition over.
Bye.
Bye.
And then in that case, I want to transition in instead of out. So I'm going to get rid of that transition. I want to do in cross zoom. Why not? Cross zoom instead of crossfade. So you can get fancy with your transitions if you want.
Love it. Cool.
Cool. Should we talk about exporting?
Yep, let's do it. How to get stuff out of Descript and into the world.
Amazing. So I've got this interview ready to go. In the top right-hand corner, you're going to see this option to publish. It's a little overwhelming with all the options, but I'll give you some of my go-tos. One is if you go to the export tab, you can just export the video straight away. So in this case, I have video selected. I want to export my current composition. The cool thing with the export function is you can export by scene or the current selection that you're on, or let's say I need to do a bulk export of, let's say, all my social clips. Super fast and easy way of doing that. Update your settings here. And then when you hit export, that's just going to download locally to your machine. And then you can upload that to wherever you're going to be hosting it. You can also export the audio only version. You can do MP3, WAV, M4A. You can export GIFs, timelines. Note that you can actually go out to other tools like Pro Tools and Final Cut, Premiere, and it'll create a non-destructive timeline for you. Get your transcript out. Add the transcript to your show notes for accessibility purposes. You can also even get subtitles out. Now, in terms of hosting, there's a lot of different ways to publish directly to hosting sites. So if you go to the Publish tab, you can go straight to YouTube or Wistia, or one option I love using is this web link. So the web link option, I'm going to publish something a little bit shorter, so this goes a little bit quicker here. Let's do this one. Publish. And in these settings, I can choose to show the transcript, allow for comments. So this is really good if I want to like send this to Christiana and be like, hey, can you review it? Give it a look. And then she'll just be able to open this up in her browser, listen back, drop in some comments, and then I can take that feedback and update that social clip. Woof, export, super round there. But did I miss anything, Christiana?
No, you hit it. Great. Yeah, that was a great run through. Somebody asked a good question about this.
Yeah.
Can you select multiple exports at once, like video and audio?
So multiple exports in the sense that like multiple compositions?
I feel like maybe the question is like, can I download the video version and the audio of this, like multiple file types?
You'd have to do those separately. So like
Okay.
in the case of like, you know, uh I guess it kind of depends on if we're actually answering this question right. But one option would be to like do a bulk export of all compositions. So if you have like a composition where it is audio only and then another
Right.
composition where it's video, that would be the way to do it. Otherwise, you would need to export one at a time.
There you go. Got it.
Good
Cool.
question.
Cool. Awesome. Sweet. Well, should I throw a couple questions at you here?
Let's
While
go.
we have a couple minutes left. Does that
Yeah.
work?
Love it.
Okay. Sweet. This question was, is this only available for the Descript Pro version only? Could you touch on a little bit about like what we've covered that might be only for the Pro version versus what everyone can use?
100%. Yeah. So I am personally on a pro plan. So you are seeing like the full power of Descript. The
Right.
couple of main differences between our creator and pro plan, which is our two paid plans. Big one is difference in transcription hours. So on the creator plan, you have 10 hours of transcription per editor seat versus pro, you're going to have 30 hours, so more transcription hours. Then some of the other differentiators are related to, for example, if I go in and remove filler words, which there are none here, you have a longer list of filler words on the pro plan versus creator. It's going to just be and
Right.
And then with respect to things like the stock media library and some of our AI features like studio sound and green screen, you'll be able to use those tools on the creator plan, but it'll just be I think you can only apply up to like an hour long of content on that plan.
Awesome.
So great
Cool.
question. I guess I should have pulled up the pricing page so we could have actually like looked at this live, but I would say
No,
those are the
that
main
was-
ones.
Yes, that was great. And I'll pull this up one more time. Scan that code and you will get a month of free Descript Pro, or just use podcast 30 all caps at checkout and you can use all of the features that Harmony just touched on. Awesome. Cool. Okay, next question here. Let me find a good one. They're all good, but something that you haven't hit on already, because you really got a ton of them here. Okay, this is like a more general workflow question.
Okay.
I would love to know the best podcast workflow. When I record in Squadcast and make my Descript template magic edits, can I take the audio and put it to Spotify and add extras such as ads, announcements, etc.? So I guess they're asking about like overall from
Soup to
recording.
nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, for the person that asked this question, like it sounds like you've got like the first, 70-80% of it squared away. So yes, I would recommend, start in Squadcast, record there, set up your shows, and then have your sessions ready to go. Bring them over into Descript. Make sure that you have good naming conventions so that all of your episodes are well organized. Let's say you get into specific episode, create your social clips if you're doing that. And I love it when I can see folks doing their work end to end in Descript. So if you can do like basically your rough paper edit in Descript, then kind of later on do your scoring, your sound design, adding your scenes, you can get 100% of the way there. And then publishing, I would say, like in terms of getting out to I guess you could go out to the Buzzsprout. That option would be probably the best option. And then at that point you'd be out of Descript and inserting your ads and announcements. One thing we didn't touch on today is overdub, and you're making me think like overdub could be a really great way of inserting like ads or announcements at the beginning or end or throughout your show.
Totally. There was a question. Yeah, I think this was Someone said, how do we record our voice so it saves? Can't remember what that's called. That's overdub. Yes.
That's overdub. Yep. Great question.
And that's a great question. Descript.com/overdub, I think is, but yeah, do you want to do the 10,000 foot view real quick?
Yeah. So, but you'll need to set up your voice before you can start using it. This is going to actually become much easier in the next couple of weeks. But what you'll want to do is go into the Voices tab back in the Drive view. You're going to hit Create New Voice. I'll open up my voice here. And it looks a lot like a Descript project in the sense that you can either record your training data. So you need two things: recordings of your speech, can be audio or video. So we provide a training script, which you can read from and then record directly in, or my recommendation would be to like import pre-existing audio or video so that it sounds as much like you as possible, so that it's like your natural cadences. And then when you go to submit, you'll have this option. It'll prompt you to record what we call a voice ID. This is to ensure that people aren't using this tool for nefarious purposes. So we ensure that the training matches the voice ID, and then your voice, once you submit the training data, will be ready to use within 24 hours or less. That's the lightning round version. We have a bunch of tutorials on this, but that's how you get it started.
Totally. Yeah, definitely recommend checking that out. We have replays on our YouTube of an overdub 101. So go check those out. Awesome. Okay, well, we're at time here. So I guess we should wrap. Really quick, huge thank you to Marcelo for answering all those questions on YouTube and in the Q&A on Crowdcast. Thank you all so much for being here, our lovely audience. Thanks for sticking with us through the technical difficulties at the beginning. The replay of this event will be on YouTube right after this, so you can go check that out. Don't forget to join Marcelo every Wednesday for office hours on our Discord. That QR code is up there. It will drop you in there and you can sign up. There's a lot of really helpful community members in there that are supporting each other. So that's awesome. Get help at help.descript.com. I know I'm in there all the time. We're constantly adding more materials there. So go check that out. And yeah, did I miss anything else we should hit, Harmony, before we log off here?
I think you covered it, Christiana. Yeah, I think
Awesome.
use that coupon code. Start playing around and reach out to us if you have questions. We're here to help in your video podcast journey.
We totally are. Good luck, everybody. We're so glad and grateful that you used Descript. Thanks for doing this with us, and we will see you at the next event.
All right.
All right. Have a good one, all. Bye.